So the other side asked me to make a video just kind of freestyling with regards to my life story. They wanted me to let you guys know essentially what happened to me and how the other side's presence in my life grew and evolved over time. I think they want people to learn from my experience so that they can see how the other side works, just in leading you forward with pieces of popcorn and not really giving you all the pieces to the puzzle, just in how much they truly, truly stress the importance of blind faith. It all started with a suicide. I was sitting in my office when my phone rang, and my friend called me and said that she and her boyfriend had gotten into a fight, and that he had sent her a text that said, well, don't worry, you don't have to deal with me anymore. And shortly after that, he hung himself. And so my friend got a whole bunch of sympathy from everyone. They felt really bad. But my reaction was different. I jumped off the couch and said, somebody needs to do something about this. We can't just sit by and let this happen. She can't carry his death on her soul for the rest of her life. She can't live like that. It's not fair, because his entire death was essentially pinned on her head, right? So after work that evening, I went to a restaurant and started researching the paranormal and soul communication and communication with the other side and mediumship, because obviously I had seen mediumship on TV before but wasn't 100% familiar with how it worked and whatever. I guess just thought I should see what I could do in order to lend a hand. And at this point, my sister-in-law was a professional intuitive, so I was able to call her and ask her for advice. And so she said, cast love and light at the deceased's soul and offer him like peace, love, and forgiveness, and encourage him to walk into the light, all that good stuff. So I cast love at his soul. I stuck my hands up out of my office and was like, okay, peace, love, and light, whatever. Didn't really know what I was doing. Didn't know how to cast. Didn't really know what to think, but whatever. So I did that. And the next morning, I went into my office and I was sitting there at my desk, and my business partner walked in, and I heard a voice say, who's she? And I remember thinking, why is there a voice in my head asking me who my business partner is? I know who my business partner is. And I sat there and I heard the voice say, she's hot. I'm like, okay, I'm straight. I'm like, why am I making comments like she's hot? And I said, who is this? And then he said his name, and it was the deceased. So I screamed, grabbed my phone, went running down the street, immediately called my sister-in-law. I said, Erin, this whole psychic business, this is like a voice in your head that you know isn't yours. She's like, yep. She says, go to your computer, open up a blank Word doc, and just start typing stream of consciousness. Just stream of consciousness, just see what comes out. And so I did. I started typing, and it was him saying, hey, I need to talk to my girlfriend. I need to tell her I'm sorry. I need to try to make things right. And it was like all him coming through and wanting to talk to my friend. So I ended up channeling him to my friend and kind of freaking her out. I started talking about like fashion because he went to fit him, yellow roses because he gave her yellow roses, and all sorts of stuff. And she's like, yep, that's him. Yep, that's him. You know? And so she was freaked out, but thankful for the messages that I delivered. So after freaking out all of my friends and family with that whole situation, everyone was like, okay, let's move on, myself included. Let's move on with our lives. That was kind of freaky. Let's move on with our lives. And the thing is I just want to let everyone know that this is how easy it is to evoke something, by the way. Just want to let all those people watching this video just let you know that was how easy it was for me to have a mediumship experience. All I did was cast love and light at his soul, and the guy shows up. So just want to let you know that You are the most connected to your deceased loved ones because you're constantly casting love at their soul, right? You're thinking about them, you're missing them, so they're going to show up. So I just want to let you know they're within arm's reach, because somebody off the street who just sat there researching the paranormal ended up having a direct result the next morning. So just want to let you know that is called clairaudience, which is clear hearing. You can hear the person's voice. I could hear him speaking. So at the time, I was a marketing executive earning 6 figures and was excited to go back to my life and not think about this paranormal stuff anymore. But the other side had a different plan. They said, "Hey, Christine," this was my spirit guides, my own personal team of guardian angels showed up, started hanging around. And they said, "Christine, why do you think you were the one who jumped off the couch and started researching the paranormal and tried to figure out ways to help your friend connect?" And I said, "Because I felt compelled." And they said, "Right, why did you feel compelled?" Like, "I don't know, I wanted to help her." They said, "Right, that was straight from the heart." They said, "Guess what, Miss Pavlina? Psychic mediumship is your life purpose, sweet pea." And I'm like, "That's nice. I'm not really interested in anyone thinking that I'm weird. I'm just a nice, good little Catholic girl here who goes to church every Sunday with her parents and keeps her head down, mouth shut, gets her job done, collects a paycheck, goes home every night, cooks dinner with her boyfriend, has a pretty decent life here. Not really interested in this psychic mediumship business, messing all that up. Sorry, I value my reputation as a sane individual." And I said, I've worked my way. I've worked really hard to get here. I'm at the top of my mountain. I'm enjoying my view. I'm not really interested in switching careers right now, folks. And this is all back in 2009, by the way. And I said, I'm not going to do it. And they said, "Well, Miss Pavlina, we understand that you're at the top of this mountain and you're enjoying the view, but you're actually supposed to be at the top of that mountain over there." I'm like, "Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to stay right here. I'm going to stay put." And they're like, "No, that's what you think." And so what had ensued after that is just paranormal activity after paranormal activity. Now, at this point, the reason the other side went after me is because of a big picture scenario. This is my life purpose. I was supposed to be doing this for a living. They were recruiting me to develop my psychic abilities and develop my mediumship abilities and to take classes and to go pro. So what was preventing me from doing that? Anyone? Bueller? My ego. My ego was preventing me from doing that because I was worried about what people think. I was enjoying my money, right? My ego. Well, guess what? Ego doesn't exist on the other side. So that's why they went after me so hardcore. And another issue is I drank a lot of wine. A lot of wine. I don't know, like the people that I know who are alcoholics said that it's an insult for me to say I'm an alcoholic, so I didn't earn my stripes, but I was alcohol dependent. I was reliant on alcohol to relax and have a good time, and I drank a lot of wine and sake. So I was alcohol dependent, and the other side used it as an opportunity to come through. I was theirs. Like, after alcohol, I was theirs, because you open yourself up, but you open yourself up almost too widely to where you move aside too much. It's not something I recommend, by the way. And so people would take those opportunities. People's higher selves would take those opportunities to come through me. I can't tell you how many mornings I would wake up and be like, "Great, who did I text now?" And it was like I would send drunk texts to people talking about myself in the third person. It was pretty bad. So the other side pursued me just with paranormal activity, and life became difficult. Everything was a struggle. Marketing deals were a struggle, to close. Clients were getting laid off. Departments were being closed. People, weren't so cool on Christine anymore because, I worked with corporations, so I had corporate clients, and just so many changes going on that I was like, all right. And it was so obvious that the other side was literally trying to make me uncomfortable so that I would walk away from my marketing career and not look back, not feel like I was leaving something huge behind. But that was their way of tickling my feet as a catalyst for action. because they knew that that wasn't my life purpose. And they knew that it wasn't what I was supposed to be doing in my life. So they did all of that for the big picture. It's not like they were torturing me, but they did all of that for the big picture of what I was supposed to be doing in my life. So I knew that I was in trouble at that point because I could see my income dropping, and I felt like a fish swimming upstream, and I knew I was going against forces of nature, and I knew I was being recruited. And that's what was really, really difficult, is knowing the gigantic change that I was in for, and the gigantic change that I was essentially being asked to make. And so one day I finally made my deal with the universe, where I sat down and I said, okay, universe, I will do this. I will become a professional psychic medium in exchange for, spiritual fulfillment at my core, happiness, love, financial abundance and security. Like, I essentially just said, you guys better take care of me if I do this. And literally, like, overnight, as soon as I agreed, all the paranormal activity just stopped immediately. And it was almost like everyone on the other side was like, we got her, like, that's the way it felt, was, Christine, that's all we needed, thank you. And believe it or not, at that point, since I still had to develop my gift, guess who helped guide me on my path? Other psychics. Other psychics were the ones that became my mentors and said, yes, in 2 years' time, you're going to launch, your career as a professional psychic medium. By the way, your boyfriend's not your soulmate. Like, other psychics were the ones that were pulling me towards my life purpose. So I knew that's what I was supposed to be doing. And I did get the confirmation from, at that point, much more experienced individuals who I could trust. And so that's what I started doing, was I started developing my intuition and working it out like a muscle. And that is when the other side had me quit my job. And the hardest part of just letting all my clients know that I was pursuing a career in the paranormal was, I remember sitting in the conference room that day and just thinking, this is either the smartest thing I've ever done or the dumbest. And it's not like I got a bunch of crap from people. It was more just like you could hear a pin drop. Or it was just, okay, don't really understand it, but best of luck. So I feel like everyone was very, very nice about it, but just kind of scratching their heads. But either way, my focus was on print marketing, by the way. So that was what I used to do. So the my clients were actually really nice about it, but it was really hard for me, because I had worked hard for those relationships and to build a reputation with actual respect as a sane individual. So that went bye-bye overnight. My money went bye-bye overnight. My 21-year marketing career went bye-bye. And I literally felt like I just went and just knocked my entire sandcastle down. And so then I announced to everybody on Facebook that I was becoming a professional psychic medium, and I talked to the dead and blah, blah, blah. So coming out of the closet was really hard, because people's reaction to you is that there's something wrong with you, you're a freak, and they cast shame at you. Or they throw a Bible at you. That's another option. They throw a Bible at you saying you're going against God's will, it's necromancy, whatever. And so the problem was that I had already experienced so much loss, because I had lost my career, a lot of my friends, a lot of my family members thought I was crazy, and just the money, and I had broken up with my boyfriend. So everything was really, really hard. It was almost just too much loss at once. So mentally and emotionally, to go through the whole announcement of, hey, I'm going to wave my freak flag, and have people's response to that be kind of casting shame at me, I took all of that shame and adopted that attitude towards myself. So I went through a period of self-hate, self-punishment, self-rejection, because I had seen myself as a marketing person for so long that viewing myself as a psychic was like, a lot of people discriminate against psychics, were known as being slimy, lacking integrity, just wanting money. So I adopted that attitude towards myself. It's like, oh, okay, I guess now I'm a slimy psychic. Like, I'm not even a marketing person anymore. I'm just a slimy psychic, and everyone's gonna hate me. And wow, I hate myself. Wow, I guess I should be ashamed of myself. Is really what I went through, and it was just this huge shame spiral. And the divine would come through and say, will you stop punishing yourself? Will you please stop punishing yourself? This is what you're supposed to be doing. It's a beautiful gift, and you're going to help other people develop their gift. So relax. And, like Jesus even came through, and, a past life regression that I did with a hypnotherapist where he was telling me that I need to relax, So the other side really guided me on my path by trying to reassure me and saying that everything's going to be okay. But that's why I really, really relate to people who have difficult truths to speak, is because I understand all the shame that society can cast on you in making you think you're going crazy, and that you're talking about these angelic beings that don't exist, and that it's all in your head. It's an easy thing to cast shame on you for, isn't it? Making fun of you, whatever. I've been on YouTube for a long time now, so I've seen a lot of comments, and they're just so far in range from, other intuitives saying, I love you, I'm channeling the exact same thing, to you're delusional, you're a couple French fries short of a happy meal, whatever. So it is interesting to be able to understand both perspectives, because as ethereal as I was before, really involved going to Barnes & Noble and reading about Libras. That was as ethereal and spiritual as I got. I didn't meditate, I didn't do anything. I didn't even take yoga. So the fact that I was even pursuing a spiritual path was very, very out of character for me. So I understand all those reactions, and I relate to them, because it's all based on our own personal experience. So if you haven't had any personal experiences with the other side, it's going to be tough for you, which is why I encourage people to have their own experiences. I think it's the greatest way to learn about the other side and to gain more knowledge and gain more guidance, because it's valuable. So that was the toughest part, was just waving my freak flag, coming out of the closet and announcing to everybody. And the other side had a strategy, but what was hard for me was walking away from that income, of course. Like, okay, how am I going to make money? It's not like, readings just show up overnight. And the other side, that was one of the things that I really struggled with, is they just would not let me get a side job. They wouldn't let me get a side job as a waitress, a bartender, like nothing. And I tried. I interviewed like 4 times, and I realized, I'm like, you're not going to let me get a side job, are you? They said, nope. We want you to only answer to us. We don't want you to have to answer to a boss. We don't want you to have to please somebody. We don't even want you to fit into society anymore. We don't want that. We want you to just answer to us and just have laser focus on your life purpose. So I think that was the most stressful part, is not having a side job to be able to grab onto. Because I felt like a unique case. I had a lot of intuitive friends who had different situations where they were either married to somebody that gave them health insurance and, an income and a roof over their head and food on the table that they could fall back on temporarily while they build their business, or, they were allowed to get side jobs. Me, I was just an anomaly. And then it's like, no, we want you to jump off a cliff. Yay! And so that cliff did include living off my savings for a while. And so one of their strategies while I built my readings was YouTube. They just guided me to YouTube and said, start uploading videos. And I remember the very first video I uploaded was about narcissism. And that was really close to my heart, because I had experience with narcissism, and it was so personal and just a hard video to make, to stick that on YouTube out of nowhere. And I cried after I uploaded it, but it ended up helping a lot of people. So I don't regret it, but that was them trying to break the ice and stick me on YouTube. And so in order to keep me moving forward and on my path, like, I kept complaining to them that I was like lonely. I kept complaining to them that I was lonely. Like, I didn't really have anybody to grab onto, because I was turning inward. I was depressed. I didn't really know who I was. I had gone through all this loss. I was going through all these changes internally, and I was lonely. And so they had brought forward Mark Foster's Higher Self. And Mark Foster is the lead singer of Foster the People. He's also known as my divine complement, which means my soulmate on crack. He is technically the other half of my soul because I'm considered a split soul. So they brought his higher self forward and said, here you go. He's going to keep you company. And this was all in my third eye, obviously. And it was so weird because the first time I ever talked to his higher self, I could feel like he was nervous. He was nervous. Like he was just, like his soul was just kind of sitting there. And my spirit guide said, it's okay. And they said, it's okay. She has no clue. And he said, oh, she doesn't know. And they said, no. And he's like, okay. And then he instantly relaxed. So there was something there. I never found out what it was, but there was something there where he was really nervous about meeting me. And then they told him that I had no clue and he just relaxed. So anyway, we just had a brief conversation where he kind of introduced himself to me almost as like my spirit guide. Like he was going to be there to guide me on my path. And he did. I guess they thought I needed a little bit of motivation with regards to making my YouTube videos because he was the one that would hang out while I would write my YouTube videos. He would show up and hang out with me like while I was writing them, and he wouldn't tell me what to say, but his presence would just be known. Like I could feel him next to me. And so every time I made my YouTube video, like positive emotion, you know, flooded with positive emotion from my higher self, Mark Foster's higher self was showing up, everything's cool. And then if I wouldn't make YouTube videos, he would disappear. So they would use him as kind of a carrot, where it's like if I wasn't a good little psychic medium making her YouTube videos, he would go away. And then if I did, he would show up. And I remember like grabbing my pen and paper and just being like, all right, I know your strategy. But it worked. It worked. And I had the ability to communicate. I have the ability to communicate with his soul at will. And he was the one who really supported me mentally and emotionally on my path with regards to accepting my gift, developing my gift, and developing self-love. Because the self-love aspect was really, really hard. I cried like every single day. I was really depressed and just crying every day. And just kind of missing my old life. And like I said, just going through the loss of personal relationships and just feeling really, really lonely. So his higher self was the one that kept me company during this period of transition. And just the fact that I had the ability to communicate with his higher self is actually quite a blessing. So it's a gift that I definitely appreciate. So anyway, so as he was guiding me on my path, he was just this little friend, right? This little spirit guide friend who would support me. And eventually the other side told me that they want me to make a video reaching out to him to give him a free reading. And they said he could use one. We want to talk to him, basically. Like, we want to talk to him through you, so offer him a free reading. And so I made a video talking about his song, The Truth. And in that video, I offered him a free reading. And him seeing that video has to do with my spirit guides, like the other side. I knew the other side would guide him to that video somehow, through other people, whatever. So I knew he was going to see it when I uploaded it. So I uploaded that video offering him a free reading, and I was like, okay, whatever. And it was... It wasn't really that bad for me. It wasn't really that embarrassing. It was just kind of like, hey, here's a free reading. I don't remember being incredibly comfortable making that video about Marfa, but I remember it not being too bad. And a couple days later or something, my spirit guides came to me and they said, we want you to make a video saying that Mark Foster is your divine complement. And I'm like, what? What is a divine complement? And they said, he is the other half of your soul. He is your soulmate. And I'm like, he's my soulmate. And I said, okay, well, I've been talking to his higher self. How does that translate to this dimension? Like, how does that translate to his lower self? and they said, kind of like, you let us worry about that or something. Like, everyone's connection to their higher self is different. Like, there is no standard almost. The influence fluctuates depending on a bunch of factors. So they said, we want you to make a video called Mark Foster is My Divine Complement. And I was like, well, that's basically saying this lead singer of a band is my soulmate. And they said, yeah. And I was like, I can't do that. Like, I can't do that. I'm still recovering from all the changes and all the loss. I'm like, I can't do that. I'm like, everybody already thinks I'm a couple sandwiches short of a picnic. I can't announce that a lead singer of a band is my soulmate. Like, nobody's going to understand it. I'm going to look like an idiot. And I was really, really upset. And so I told my spirit guides no. I said, I'm not a 13-year-old girl saying Mark Foster is my soulmate, where everyone's like, that's cute. Right? I'm like, I'm a 40-year-old woman saying that. I'm going to look even more delusional than I already look. I'm not making that video. And my spirit guides they're just all over me like white on rice. I can't even tell you. When the other side wants me to do something, like when something has to happen and they want me to do something, there's no bones about it. I mean, what did they do to me? I was in Manhattan Beach on Manhattan Beach Boulevard. I grabbed Starbucks, and I remember I walked down to Heavenly Couture of all stores. And I'm walking around Heavenly Couture, just calmly strolling through the clothes. And all of a sudden, it's like my brain just turns into an iPod where I start downloading all this information. And in your video, we want you to include this. And so it's just like this iPod, just them talking to me through claircognizance, which is clear knowing. So my brain just turned into this iPod, and I'm like, will you guys leave me alone? I'm shopping. And it was distracting and annoying, and the anxiety. They fed me like really, really, really strong anxiety, where I was like, what's up with this coffee? What's in this coffee? When really it was them feeding me the anxiety and that nervous pressure that they love to do in order to get me to do something as a catalyst. And I blew them off. And I said, no, I'm not going to make that. I don't feel comfortable making that. Sorry. I have free will. Sorry. And so that evening, Mark Foster's higher self showed up. And he said, Christine, I can see your heart. And he said, I am an all-knowing angelic being who lives on the other side, and I can see your heart. And I said, yeah. And he goes, I know you love me. And I'm like, okay, maybe. And then he said, do you want to be with me? And I said, yeah. And I said, do you mean, do I want to be with your lower self? And he said, yeah, do you want to be with me? And I said, yeah. He said, then this is what you have to do. He said, you have to make this video. This is what you have to do if you want to be with me. And I said, okay. And so I made it, and it was harsh. Of course I got made fun of hardcore. It was pretty bad because I had put it on multiple platforms, Facebook, Reddit, YouTube, and the comments were pretty harsh, which is what I expected, but it was really difficult for me to do that because I knew that was it. I knew that was the last nail in the coffin. Because for me, saying like this person is my soulmate was a lot harder than saying I talk to dead people. Because at least if you say you're becoming a psychic medium, people are like, oh, okay, whatever, she's weird. She's, I guess she's like those people that are on TV, or, maybe she'll start wearing a headscarf and hoop earrings. Here's some tarot cards and some crystals, right? At least I was classified. With this, it's like I wasn't really being classified as anything. It was just like, okay, I guess she's hearing voices and she thinks this guy's her soulmate now. And so the other side had me make a series of videos about him, for him, reaching out to him, and they were going to make sure that he saw him. And they said, don't worry, you talk directly to his soul because you're the other half of his soul. So don't worry about that. Everything you say will resonate with him. And I knew that to be true because his higher self would, talk to me about stuff and what I needed to do. It was always like, meet us halfway. You do this and then we'll take care of the rest, kind of thing. But the problem is he didn't come forward. And so it was literally like kind of taking this blind leap of faith that I was guided to by the other side, where I was like this trapeze person that jumped, from one swing to the other, and it's like, oh, it just like fell. Oh, sorry. So what the other side had intended was for me to reach out to Mark Foster by waving my freak flag and shining authentic light. And for him to recognize the freak flag and be like, oh, hey. So they want me to put this in layman's terms for everybody. It's like somebody saying I spend my weekends doing underwater basket weaving, cliff diving, and eating eclairs. And all of your friends are just kind of like, whatever, that's real eclectic. Have fun with that. Here's to you. Meanwhile, you're sitting there like, I spend my weekends doing underwater basket weaving, cliff diving, and eating eclairs too. Huh. So you're going to sit there and you're going to scratch your head and you're going to listen to what that person has to say because they've gotten your attention, right? Meanwhile, all your friends are just ignoring it, right? Kind of a hidden language. So that's the way it is with divine compliments, is you have this hidden language. So I knew that I was cutting through all the BS and going straight to, his soul. So I knew that I would get his attention somehow just by being me. And the other side is asking me to interject here and let you guys know that this is the importance of shining authentic light. They are saying that Mark Foster would not have recognized the marketing executive Christine Pavlina, but he would recognize the psychic medium Christine Pavlina. So that whole waving your freak flag and shining authentic light is important for attracting your soulmate. So they wanted me to interject that, just let people know. A lot of times life purpose comes first, soulmate comes second. So he didn't come forward. I lost credibility because what the other side wanted to have happen was for us to start dating, and people to look at the lead singer of Foster the People and say, oh, who's that person that Mark Foster is out on a date with? Oh, we just found out her name is Christine Pavlina. Okay, Google Christine Pavlina. Right? And then they find out what a huge freak I am, and then they see that video saying that he's my divine compliment, and then all of a sudden we get photographed together and people have a lot of questions. Now, that was the intent for the other side. Why? To teach. Mr. Foster and I weren't only supposed to get together and watch movies together and eat popcorn. We were supposed to come together and teach you guys about power manifestation, the law of attraction, divine compliments, soulmates, and soul communication. Because at that point, obviously I was talking to his higher self. So Mark Foster has the ability to speak to the influence of the higher self over the lower self. That's pretty valuable information that guy's carrying around in his brain. He is able to talk about the influence of the higher self over the lower self. That's a huge deal. Huge deal. So that's what the other side intended, and that would have given me credibility and attention. And you have to remember, this is what the other side wants. They want me to get attention. They want me to be in front of audiences because they want me to speak for them, raise awareness about psychic abilities, help people develop their own, right? But mostly the other side is about teach. That's what they care about. So that never happened. That was plan A, and that never happened. And obviously I was going to make money from plan A because I was going to get credibility and people were going to book readings with me, and it was going to be all good from there. Unfortunately, that never happened. So plan B came into play, where my credibility suffered. I got made fun of. I really wanted to take down those videos about Mark Foster badly, but I could not. I was not allowed to back away from the truth. The other side is all about embracing your truth no matter what, even if it is to your detriment. So I was not allowed to take down any of those videos about Mark Foster, even though they were hurting my livelihood. I had to keep them up. That was part of the deal. Another part of the deal was I was not ever allowed to reach out to him in any way, shape, or form. We've never spoken via text, email, phone, nothing. I was not allowed to show up in person to any of his like DJ performances or anything. The only thing is I did attend his concert at the Shrine that he had in LA, but I never met him. I was in row 11 in the audience, but I never met him. So I was not allowed to show up. They didn't want me to look like a stalker. They didn't want me to scare him. They said he had free will. So they were very, very respectful of those boundaries and wanted to really just kind of show him who I was over time and really just kind of guide him forward on his path. So even though he wasn't coming forward, they had me making videos for him about him, but then they also had me making videos about other subjects, self-discipline, self-love, like whatever videos that they had me, free will or whatever videos they wanted me to make and have people be aware of. But the problem is now at this point, I was struggling with essentially being blown off by my soulmate and rejected, and of course everyone thinking I'm wrong and just delusional, so that kind of added insult to injury. And then on top of that, the hardest part for me was what the other side was asking me to do as well. Part of embracing truth was not only embracing my own personal truths, like, hey Christine, you can't drink alcohol anymore. Hey Christine, you have to lose weight. Hey Christine, you talk to dead people, whatever. Like, all the difficult personal truths that they had me speak were going on at the exact same time that they had me uploading videos about very controversial subjects, such as abortion, gay marriage, and atheism. So they asked me to create a video called Atheism is Incorrect during this time frame when I'm still just hurting from everything. And so uploading videos basically looking really cocky and arrogant and speaking in absolutes. I remember them talking to me about if I'm going to represent the other side, I have to speak in absolutes. I mean, everything was just too much. It was just too much ridicule. And it was literally just inviting the ridicule. And so while this was all happening, all I could think was, why aren't I just on Venice Beach reading tarot cards? Really? Like, why aren't I just doing tarot card readings on Venice Beach and calling it a day? Like, what is my motivation for this? This is so embarrassing and so painful and so hurtful. And my money was gone. I had like no respect. Everyone thought it was weird. Like, the people closest to me were like, okay. And I felt bad for everybody. I mean, I feel bad for my old coworkers who look at my Facebook feed and are like, what happened to her? I feel bad for my close friends and family that are still trying to understand me. They didn't make a 180. I did. I changed. They didn't change. I changed. I feel sorry for that. I feel bad for that. How are they supposed to understand this? This isn't happening to them. It's happening to me. So everything the other side asked me to do, it's like, it was so hard. It was just hard. And it was just every little thing. Just the only vice I'm allowed to have is, coffee. And even that is like on Dr. Oz's list of good things because it's an antioxidant. So I don't know. I'm allowed to have coffee. So that's about it. Otherwise, they don't want any toxins in my body. They monitor my water intake, my exercise, my vitamins. They are all about embracing your truth and the comprehensiveness of what that involves is ridiculous. They treat my body like a car that needs to be detailed. Just asked me to get a physical, and then, I was like, oh, you have an atypical looking mole on your back. Oh, that needs to be removed. Just chunk. Those dermatologists like cut this chunk out of your back if they're afraid it's going to break into skin cancer. So it's like chunk stitches. I'm like, oh, and then, oh, you have an iron deficiency, here's some iron supplement. And it's just like every little thing, they treat my body just this like high maintenance thing, And I mean, it's great because your body's a temple and there's the mind, body, spirit connection, but it's all in an effort to minimize toxins and be a clear channel and keep my mood high and keep my vibe high. And so that's what really made it hard, was all of the changes and personal truths and truths that I had to share with people that didn't go over well. Mark Foster not coming forward, looking like a total idiot. Just so lonely. Just so incredibly lonely and just so painful. I remember I would sit at my desk doing like social media, and I remember the pain was so overwhelming that I would literally just like fall to the floor and start crying just to get it out, like milking a cow. There was just so much pain inside me from all the changes that I just had to just like milking a cow. It's really crazy just how much pain there was. I just wouldn't wish that on anybody. It was just like this tunnel that you had to go through. And you come out the other side a better, stronger person. But while you're in that tunnel, it's miserable. It's really hard. And that's when you're really forced to develop self-love. That's what really helps you develop self-love. So the crazy part is when I sat there and looked at all the changes that they were making and just how much healthier I am now, or I don't drink alcohol anymore. I lost 70 pounds. I love my career as a psychic medium. I love doing readings for people. On the days when I don't do readings, I actually get really sad. That's how you know it's your life purpose. And it's rewarding. It's my heart-focused work. So I have, a career that I love. I have a YouTube channel that I love, and I have learned so much in the process. Obviously, I learned all the information in my YouTube videos because I experienced all of it, but just the importance of the truth and the light and not letting go of that no matter what. And just being afforded the opportunity to know how the other side works. I remember I sat there and I said, what's up with the collective consciousness anyway? How come when you walk into the light, all of a sudden everyone's just like on the same page? And I said, so what, when I pass, my soul just becomes this mindless sheep? And they said, no, you just trust implicitly. And they said, when you walk into the light, you kind of trust the light implicitly. And that's what puts everyone on the same page with regards to the truth on the other side of the collective consciousness, is that trust in that light. It's really interesting. It makes sense. That trust, that blind faith, that trust. Anyway, so I guess one of the things that I wanted to let you guys know, because I know it sounds like the other side just tortured the heck out of me, or that I was wrong about a bunch of stuff or whatever, but they just told me to they just said, do you want your old life back? And the answer is no, I do not want my old life back. I like my new life. Because embracing all of my truths now, it feels good. It was short-term pain, long-term gain. I just had to get through that tunnel to the other side where the light was. And being in the tunnel is really hard, but I'm glad it's over. Because I'm a better person. I'm a stronger person. I'm not the same person I was, so I would never want my old life back. But I'm definitely being led down a path with popcorn. So because Mr. Foster did not come forward and I was not allowed to remove those videos, my livelihood suffered. And the reason my livelihood suffered was because of lack of credibility and partially just not really marketing myself well either, because I just didn't feel like it. I had no energy. I didn't really have a whole lot of life force energy going on at that point. I was lucky to get my YouTube videos up, but I was pretty sad from everything and just traumatized. So I ended up having to go through my savings and my 401k in order to help out with the bills and stuff. So that was kind of hard, but they didn't really care. The other side was just like, this has to happen, just chill out. So I just did it. Needed the money, so I did it. And I knew that I was speaking for the other side, so I knew it was important. And so that's pretty much the backstory behind my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is powered by my savings and my 401k, just so you know, because I wasn't really making any money when I started my channel. So whatever. I mean, that was the deal. Became a professional psychic medium, started getting more of a following, started getting more and more readings, and now I make enough money to live off of. I didn't before, but now I make enough money off of my readings to live off of. So it just took a little longer to build the old business than I expected. But what had happened was, in the process of me being guided to make these YouTube videos, there became this progression of who I was channeling. And you can see when you watch my YouTube videos based on the dates, it was like angelic realm, you know, like I would say different things, like the other side, the angelic realm. Most of my videos are like the angelic realm this, the angelic realm that, blah, blah, blah. And the truths that they started having me say were like, I am the absolute. I am an ascended master. I am the voice of the angelic realm. And it was just like me talking for the clouds. And they just kept saying, call us the angelic realm. Call us the angelic realm. And it was just the divine court. It was like God's homies, right? And this is like, if the other side is a corporation, it's like I'm channeling the CEO, right? And so as time went on, and I guess I just became more worthy or something, I don't know, the divine would start showing up himself. And my videos started changing from, you know, the angelic realm to the divine says this and God says that, and it just totally changed, because I could feel when the big guy himself shows up versus his homies. It's a different energy, a little stronger. And so that's where I was like, what? They're having me speak in absolutes, and the divine's starting to show up more and more. And I just felt like this progression in my videos, things getting more intense. And then one day they said, we want you to make a video about Bernie Sanders. And I was like, who, that old guy who's trying to be president or whatever? they're like, yeah, we want you to make a video about Bernie Sanders. The only thing I knew about Bernie Sanders was that Mark Foster's lower self was like, you know, playing music or whatever for the dude. It's his concerts, or I don't know, whatever they're called. Conferences? Rallies! Anyway, I was apolitical. Guess I'm not anymore. So I was like, Bernie Sanders, you want me to make a video about Bernie Sanders? I'm like, yeah, don't worry. We're going to give you the content. Just relax. So I started cracking these jokes in my videos, because I was like, since the other side is obsessed with Bernie Sanders, all of a sudden, every single video was about Bernie Sanders. And I sat there feeling really sorry for my followers, because they had gotten a variety of different subjects up to that point. I'm like, oh man, I'm going to lose so many subscribers from this. Just no control over my YouTube channel at all, because I'm speaking for the other side. So whatever they want to talk about, right? That's it. So I start making all these Bernie Sanders videos, just different subjects, Bernie. And they're coming, like, they started out more informational, like the angelic realm was saying stuff. And then it started becoming God. And I'm like, well, you guys really aren't screwing around. And it was all about how Bernie Sanders was like everyone's highest good. He's the truth. He's predestined to be president. And I remember telling the other side, I'm like, good luck with that, sweet cheeks. We have free will. And they were just like, no, this pretty much has to happen. It's predestined. So we're going to have to try to work around people's free will. So my life purpose over time had gone from just being a psychic medium to, okay, Christine, it is your job as a channel of divine truth to help Bernie Sanders become president. And they said, the United States is in trouble. We have to rescue it from itself. It's becoming an energetic match for bad stuff. So your job, your goal is to help Bernie Sanders become president. And obviously you're going to do that by channeling us. And so I sat there and I was like, so that's why you guys coveted me. And that's why they took over my life so fervently. And that's why the paranormal activity was so strong in recruiting me and pulling me away from my marketing career and making me, just leave it, not even have a side gig, but just leave it. And everything was so regimented and so, diet, exercise, water, and just, that's why they were just on me so much, like white on rice, is because I am part of a divine plan designed to help Bernie Sanders become president. That's my latest truth. And so I know that's weird. I know it's strange. At this point, it actually just feels natural for me. Like, okay, that's part of my life purpose. Personally, I'll breathe a sigh of relief when it happens, because I've been shown the alternate realities and I don't like them. So I guess that was the latest piece of popcorn that they're guiding me forward with is, hey, Christine, you're not just a psychic medium. We're having you speak in absolutes because you are divine intervention with regards to this election. You are a divine intervention. We're going to speak through you. So it's hard to believe. It's a very, very crazy story, but I just kind of wanted to let everyone know that's what happened to me. I'm not crazy. I haven't lost it. Bernie Sanders is everybody's highest good. If everyone grabs onto him with both hands, we're going to be stoked. We're going to be like an uber powerful nation, and it's going to be like happy jumping bunnies in a field kind of thing. More unity than separation. Seems like a good guy. I've never met him. Seems like a cool guy. If I did meet him, I'm sure we'd get along. But at this point, I would be really happy sitting in the Oval Office with him and eating See's candy. That's my goal. To share a box of See's candy with Bernie Sanders in the Oval Office. With him as president, obviously. That'd be pretty cool. So, that's the deal. That's my life. Why? All right. They want me to say a closing statement about Mark Foster. They just said, okay, I am. Hi. That's why I'm so mad at Mark. Because I made that video, Mark Foster is my divine compliment. That was the first one I made of many. I made that video because I wanted to be with him. And so I feel like I didn't get rejected. I feel like I was let down by his lower self, higher self, both parts of his soul. So I know that's difficult for most normal people to understand, but there are some people that have reached out to me who have had experiences with people's higher selves before. And it's hard. It's really hard being caught between the intentions of someone's higher self and lower self. So I think it's also important for me to share my story regarding that, just because there are people out there who can relate to it. And I just want to let them know that they're not crazy, that it's extremely, extremely difficult. And it's just a really painful situation to be in. But that's why I'm so mad at him. I was mad at him for myself for a long time. I still am. Because of the lack of credibility at a time when I feel like I have a very important message to deliver and people need to listen to me. But I was really mad at him for everyone else also. Because you have to remember, I, Christine Pavlina, am the one who has been having experiences with the other side since 2009. It's now 2017. That's a long time. So I know soul communication exists. I know spirit guides exist. I know about the law of attraction. I know about power manifestation. I know about higher selves. You guys don't. So that was one of the things that I was really mad about is, honestly, I really just wanted Mr. Foster to come forward and to teach you guys the valuable information that he has in his brain. So just so you guys know, I'm not only mad at Mr. Foster for myself, I'm mad at him for everybody. Because as my divine complement, he himself is a teacher as well. And I feel like he has a responsibility to teach you guys what he knows. Because it is beautiful and it is profound. And, you know, I just like thinking about people who have spent their lives, you know, researching the higher self. You know, it's on Wikipedia. I can imagine that there's, you know, people out there that have spent years researching the concept of the higher self and just wanting to know more. And just the fact that he has the power to speak to that, that's beautiful. That's special. So I think that's what was eating me alive, was not only the injustice of my situation in looking wrong when I was right, but also just knowing that what he had to share was just rare. Rare. Precious. So anyway, but that's my story, and I will continue to create my YouTube videos. Just so you guys know, the other side had me sell my condo. So they were worried about a dip in readings because they knew that I was going to look... Well, they don't care how I look. The other side doesn't really care how I look. I mean, my livelihood is just in their hands. I mean, I could upload a video saying that I was a squirrel in a previous life, and they'd be like, oh, well, that's your truth, Christine. Like, they just don't. I guess I'm just not a people pleaser. Like I said, I'm marketing to nobody. So my readings are all over the place, and they just don't care. They find different ways of bringing money onto my path. So anyway, but they did. The latest one is they had me sell my condo, and it did kind of feel like more of a battening down the hatches kind of a feel, where they're just preparing me for stuff. So I'm sure it's good. I'm sure it's positive. Yay. But anyway, so that's my story. I have a career that I love, and a body that's healthy, a wardrobe that I love because the other side dresses me. And I don't know. I'm healthy and happy now, and I've embraced who I am. I'm proud of who I am. I feel like it's my goal to enlighten people now about the other side, because when I look at, God, I gotta tell you, I mean, I was intuitive before. I just didn't know it. You guys are intuitive. Maybe you just need to raise your self-awareness if you don't think you're intuitive, because everyone is to a certain extent. But I remember I was like about to sign this contract, and I remember my stomach just killing me. And I was like, oh, I must have eaten something bad for lunch. Oh, well. Then I signed it. It's just, the guy ended up stealing from me. It's like, that was my gut. That was my gut bothering me. It wasn't the sandwich I had for lunch. It was my gut. So looking back, there were so many intuitive experiences that I just ignored. It was always there. I just wasn't really paying attention. So that's really what I feel like my job is to kind of raise awareness and just let people know that this is inside of them. You know, pay close attention to your gut, your intuition, you know, and let it guide you forward, because it's really the people who ended up helping me in the early stages, or other psychics. Not all of us are slimy. Kind of like a, you know, personal injury attorney. Some of them are ambulance chasers, and some of them are good people just trying to give a voice to the little guy. You know? Same thing with psychics. We're not all bad. You know, a lot of us have pure intentions. So that's my story. I know this is a really long video. They wanted me to just kind of do it in more of like a conversational format. So sorry if it was kind of long. But yeah. So that's my story. That's how they guided me on my path, and how they continue to guide me on my path. And I am thankful. I am thankful that they showed up. I am grateful to have this gift. I definitely feel blessed. At the same time, this is a pretty tough gig. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty challenging. It's a pretty tough gig. You know, embracing truth is hard. That's why, you know, I know. I've been there. So I guess that's really the most powerful message that I can give you guys is just don't let go of the truth. Your personal truths, the truths, are our truths, whatever. Don't let go of them. Let them be the guiding light for you and allow them to lead you forward, because the truth really is the light. And as long as you embrace it, you will be holding God's hand. And in the meantime, take care and be well. Thank you.